than everyone expected. But overall, they did a good job between the two manufacturers. I'm sure everyone had pretty much the same scan where we were able to base everything off of. So we felt like we're pretty close to a maximum right away.
Successful today?
Successful,
Yeah.
yeah. I think P4 is okay. Usually we're a little bit better, I think, on street courses, and we feel like we've made improvements this year. So I think we can do better. But it's okay to start. I think everyone had a good session. Everyone learned stuff. We were reasonably quick, and yeah, we'll roll into tomorrow with that in mind, and obviously tune on it.
I think we have a microphone. We'll make sure we grab questions here in person. And for those of you joining us on Zoom, we can take your questions here, as many as we can get to. Otherwise, Nate, go ahead. I'll just relay the question here on Zoom. Go ahead.
Two. One, it appeared you had a big save somewhere at some point that they caught some camera.
Was there a big save?
Yeah, maybe it was not. I wouldn't say big save. I don't know. Is it like a sideways save or like a lockup?
I think it was like keeping it off the wall as you were kind of skidding off the
Uh,
yeah. Obviously it didn't register, so it wasn't that big.
You're close to the walls always. If you're not almost brushing it, then you're not doing a good enough job. So, to be honest.
The other thing I wanted to ask about is I heard you talking about like the hairpin turn 3 with like depth perception when you're going into it at speed.
Yep.
Can you kind of elaborate on that, and what is that going to be like at the start tomorrow when everybody's flying down into that turn and trying to make? Is everybody just going to have to get ordered before going into turn 3?
Kind of, because it's such a tight radius corner as it is that any radius that you're cutting is not going to be good. So everyone's going to be, I imagine, trying to get through their single file, but that's really never the case, right? It still creates passing opportunity, but not as much as what it looks like when you first go walk the track. It seems like, oh, this is wide open, this will be pretty easy here, but once you're doing 180, 190 down into there, it doesn't feel as wide.
So it's just like it just tunnels in on you.
Yeah, it kind of tunnels in, and then you it's strange because it's such a long break zone. It's the only place on the calendar that we break near a 500 board so far. So it's like, it's such a long break zone that you kind of lose feel of how close you're getting to the corner almost. It's a bit strange, but that's just due to the surface of the track, because it's so bumpy heading down into there that like you're playing with the brake pedal the entire way through there just so you don't lock up or the car jumps on you sometimes in the middle of the brake zone. It's a bit awkward, so I think people are going to be a little bit more hesitant because of that to want to make passes happen.
Let's go Nathan, then Larry. Go ahead, Nathan.
Kyle, I know that turn 3 spot was a place some drivers had mentioned is an obvious potential passing zone. Are there any other ones that have appeared on track, or do you still feel like that's the best place that guys are going to have to pass come Sunday?
Yeah, I really don't see a lot of opportunity without it creating carnage. Like, you can pass into 1, you can pass into 8, you might be able to pass into 5, but you're not going to be able to go double file through there. I think the outside guy is going to go into the wall in a few of the places that people will try and pass, to be honest.
And how did you described the track as bumpy, how did the bumps compare to what you were expecting, or some of the other street courses that we have on the calendar?
I don't think it's not as bad as coming off the bridge at like Nashville, for instance, but it's very, very bumpy. Like throughout all the corners, it's kind of low grip bumpy, so the car's always doing weird things all the way through the corners.
Kind of more continuous through the whole track rather than just at that one spot in Nashville.
Kinda, yeah. It's more kind of everywhere than just in off the bridge sections.
Also joined P1 today, Pato Award 2021 winner here, the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, presented by Lear, driver the number 5, Arrow McLaren Chevrolet, minute 3.07 around this 1.7 mile layout, and his teammate Felix Rosenquist driving the number 6, Arrow McLaren Chevrolet, 6 quick today, of course, the NTT P1 award winner at Texas Motor Speedway. Pato, both you guys, just some general thoughts about the first time on the circuit.
It's definitely a unique track. I think it has a lot of characteristics from all the other street courses that we go to in terms of pavements and different type of corners. But yeah, we rolled off strong. I think there's a lot of a lot of first times. You know, first time here, first time with the double pit lane. I think that's going to be interesting in the race with the blend line where it is, and I think the pit exit is going to be something to look out for in both qualifying, like impeding and stuff like that. I don't know if they're going to mark it as impeding, but it definitely gets you out of place if someone gets sent there while you're on a flyer. So it's a work in progress. I don't know. Yeah, there's probably not a lot of space to work with. So I know I know everybody's doing their best, and it's a challenging track. I can tell you that.
Felix?
Yeah, very different kind of. I mean, you're not like using the wings of the car really here. Like it's very mechanical grip track. You know, pretty much every corner is first gear except from the one leading onto the back straight. So you just kind of like Kyle said, you know, the car is always doing something weird, like it's dancing around, bouncing around, and you're at the same time trying to keep it off the wall. So it's busy from the driver's standpoint. It's very busy. It's probably going to catch people out in the race, I think. I think it would be really interesting to see going into the hairpin, because I was never really close to another car, but like to try to make a pass, like how that's going to work with a bump there and braking. That's going to be for sure entertaining. Yeah, I mean, new challenge. I think it's cool to just roll out and see how it is and try to make it good. And as Paolo said, I think we rolled off pretty strong. Like we're definitely in the window.
I lost track of the microphone. I know Larry had a question here up front. Go ahead, Chris, go ahead. Then we'll go Larry up front here.
Okay, Pato and Felix, Chevy have 6 of the top 10 spots in the first session. I know winning's important everywhere, but is there any additional, emphasis on this particular race, given that now it's downtown or around the Chevy building, and that it's, we're here now instead of being on Belle Isle and all that?
Obviously, it's a huge event for our partner in Chevy. It's, out of the Indy 500, this is for sure another race that they want to win. So it's good to see, but it's too early to tell. I mean, it's so competitive. Like, in some sessions, I think you'll see, being dominated by maybe one manufacturer, but then the next session can really depends on how hard you work with your engineers to kind of get the thing to your liking, and obviously work with your manufacturers, in our case Chevy, to really try and maximize, because the bumps make it a challenge in downshifting, upshifting, power downs, all those different scenarios. So it's definitely a strong start, but it's too early to tell, and we need to keep our head down and keep pushing, because everybody's going to make their car go faster.
Go ahead, Larry.
For each of you, can you give us some early predictions on how you think the split pit will play out, and how pivotal do you think that'll be?
I mean, I saw when the session started, there was quite a lot of cars coming in, 4 wide into the, how do you say, like the funneling section. Because it's kind of unique in that way, because you have the PLC, like the pit speed limit off section is way further, like after the funnel. So we're gonna have to figure out, who's going first in there. And, I think there's gonna be some situations where people probably don't want to lift, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what IndyCar is, that we battle it out on track, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, let's hope there's no any crashes in pit lane.
Yeah, I guess I'll throw in my insight as well. I mean, in my mindset, it's very safe, so that's the most important part. It seems like pit exit was a concern for everyone yesterday, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of an issue. I think everyone's pretty calm though on exit, and it's pretty easy to see a car coming out, or to be honest, you can't really see the car that's on track, so you're very reliant on the car that's on track to kind of give way, and for you to just kind of stay out of the way. But that was more the concern than the double pit lane. I think the double pit lane has been absolutely fine.
Bruce?
Felix, Scott Dixon described that with the lack of mechanical grip on these cars, the cars have a tendency to feel fat and top heavy. Now, you mentioned that you're just using mechanical grip, so do you see that as being the biggest reason why the cars are moving around so much on this track, and what can you do to compensate for that?
Well, I think this track is probably the most important in terms of damping. You know, that's pretty much the biggest tool we have to work with mechanical grip. Yeah, we don't have like, I don't even think I've talked about aero today with my engineer or front wing or anything like that, because there's only really one corner where you feel it. So it's a different challenge. I think these cars, you know, they have quite a lot of downforce, and normally there's a lot of emphasis on making the thing, you know, efficient with downforce and drag and such things. But here it's just like the more mechanical grip, the better, and it's kind of back to go-kart days in that sense.
Pato and Kyle, does the car feel that much different to you here than it does on any other street course?
I personally think these slow speed corners are way better than like a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in Nashville. Like I don't think it doesn't get worse than 4 through 8 in Nashville. In these, they seem, to me, it reminds me a lot of Turn 5 from Belle Isle for some reason. Like 4 and 5 from Belle Isle. You guys agree? But yeah, they just seem, they're obviously
Like
first.
pavement and the grip level, you mean?
Yeah, and yeah, it's, I mean, it is what it is, right? But obviously these cars, I mean, the wings are there to help us, but when you're going in first gear, they're not doing much. So that's where you start getting all the ugly stuff, kind of like the rear locking and all that stuff, which it is what it is. It's obviously the bumps aren't going to help either, but yeah, it's not very different to other places, the street courses that we go to, slow speed.
We'll go Steve and then Lewis.
With the number of red flags today and all the guys in the runoff, how important is getting an early banker in qualifying going to be tomorrow, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pretty huge, I think. I actually have to say everyone was very well behaved this session, but you know, when you go long, that's part of the game when you try to find lap time, and sometimes you end up in the runoff, and you know, I think people stalling was probably the biggest issue. I didn't really see too much on TV, but yeah, like it seems like almost everyone kept it out of the wall, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, obviously, yeah, it's such a short track in qualifying, you're just gonna, you know, you're never probably gonna do a perfect lap around here. You're just gonna kind of get a banker in and see if you can improve it, and take what you get just to transfer.
Lewis and then David, probably Lewis.
Okay, probably your engineers can answer this better, but you weren't out on full fuel loads. Do any of you see a possibility of bottoming out, you know, running at the beginning of stints, and what do you do for that?
That's every track we go to. We always have to set ride heights based on fuel, so I don't think that's a massive difference here than any of the other street courses that we go to.
You'll feel it.
It's only really end of the straight that is a challenge. Like actually, on average, we don't bottom a lot here because everything is slow speed. You know, if you take Nashville or most of the road courses, like you'll drag the floor of the car like all around the lap, and here it's only really one section. So you probably have to deal with it a bit there, and for the rest of the lap, it'll be fine.
David.
Yeah, just to any of the three of you really, because we're not at Belle Isle now and we're here and amongst the buildings and everything as well, I just wondered, is it a lot hotter in the car? You know, like the ambient temperature here is hot at the moment. How's it throughout the race?
To me, the worst I've ever felt is Nashville with the 90-something% humidity, and yeah, I felt fine.
It wasn't super physical, I don't think, just because the grip level's so low right now, so we're not having we won't have any issues overheating, I don't think, but as the grip lays down and starts to get more physical, it'll probably get tougher on us and we'll start to feel the heat.
One or two more, go ahead.
Yeah, Pato, you touched on this. Compare this track to Belle Isle in terms of how rough it is and also how physical the lap is compared to Belle Isle.
Belle Isle, I'd say, is Belle Isle is busier. There is a lot more fast corners in Belle Isle, and here there's really one, and that is turn 2, and it really isn't that fast. You know, like Belle Isle, turn 1 and 2, the last corner, like, those are freaking fast corners to be in a street course with a lot of, you know, a lot of bumps. I'm a very big fan of Belle Isle. I was very sad to see it leave the calendar. But you know, it's a different track. It's a new track. It's gonna be a great event, and yeah. I mean, I feel like Belle Isle has a lot of very different corners that get the circuit together. And here that we've got 9 corners. We've got 1 chicane and then a lot of very similar kind of first speed corners, saying 1 hairpin. Yeah.
Rougher here?
Is it rougher here?
Yes. I mean, it is, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah, it's drivable for sure.
We'll take one off Zoom and wrap it up. Go ahead, Ben Johnson from the Paddock Guide.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, how do you think traffic is going to be over the course of the weekend and the race?
I mean, it's probably gonna be among the worst on the calendar because you have probably the shortest lap. I think it's a 50. No, sorry.
There's no space for, it's 330 feet between each car, I think is what we calculated.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Not
get
much.
tight if you get by somebody in the race, I can tell you that.
Oh,
But I think normally in qualifying it's fine when you split up the groups, but it will be among the worst to get a gap for sure.
Gosh, sorry, Kyle, did you say 350 feet?
I
Yeah.
think 330 feet is what we calculated.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
For what?
Well,
Which
best of luck
is-
this weekend.
Under 2.2 seconds, I think, is the gap, if all the cars track at once.
Oh yeah, I'll try. No, this track is too. Every track we go to is too small for all 27 cars. That's yeah. No.
Good problem to have.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Okay, Ben, thank you so much. Unless there's a follow-up, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks so much, guys, for coming up. Pato Award, Kyle Kirkwood, Felix Rosenquist. Next time, the NTT IndyCar Series is on track, 9 a.m., 9:05 a.m. tomorrow for practice.